Have you been injured in New York and are wondering what a fair settlement would look like? The truth is, the answer is not as simple as a set amount of money. There are many factors that go into determining what is fair, and today we are going to break it all down for you. Whether you are dealing with a car accident, slip and fall, or medical malpractice, understanding how settlement work can make a huge difference in the outcomes of your case. Stick with us as we walk you through everything you need to know about what a fair settlement really looks like. First thing first, let's define what a personal injury settlement is. A settlement is an agreement reached between the injured party and the insurance company or responsible party to resolve the claim without going to trial. In personal injury case, the settlement amount is typically meant to compensate for these things like medical expenses, lost wage, pain and suffering, and property damage. But how is this number dedicated? Now, let's talk about the factor that determine what is considered a fair settlement in a personal injury case. The first thing you need to understand is that no two injured cases are the same. Here are the key factors that will influence the amount you may receive. First is severity of injuries. The extent of your injuries play a huge role. Are you injured long term or temporary? Have you faced surgery or rehabilitation? The more severe the injury, the higher the potential settlement is. And second is medical expenses. How much you spent on medical bill or so far, and how much you will need to further treatments. This include hospital bills, doctor visits, surgery, physical therapy, and medication, and anything else directly related to your recovery. And third is lost wages. If you had to take time off work due to your injuries, this can significantly impact your settlement. Your lost wage, as well as further lost earning potential if you are injured, will affect your ability to work long term, will be considered. And fourth is pain and suffering. Pain and suffering can be more difficult to quantify, but it is an important element for your settlement. This includes the physical pain and the emotional distress caused by your injuries. Pain and suffering can often be calculated based on the severity of your injury and how much it affected your daily life. And fifth is liability and fault. Was the other party at fault? If you were partially at fault for the accident, your settlement may be reduced. New York follow a comparative negligence rules, meaning the fault is divided between both parties and your settlement could be affected accordingly. And six is insurance coverage. The amount of insurance coverage available can affect the settlement. If the other party has sufficient insurance coverage, the settlement amount is usually higher. If there is limited coverage, it could make negotiation more challenging. And seven is legal representation. Having an experienced personal injury lawyer on your side can make a huge difference in the settlement process. Lawyers know how to negotiate and fight for fair compensation, ensuring that you are not offered a low bail settlement. Let's take a deep dive into some of these factors. One of the biggest aspects of a fair settlement is covering your medical expenses, both past and future. If you have had surgeries, multiple doctor visits, or extensive physical therapy, the cost needed to be included in your settlement. But what about further medical expenses? Will you need ongoing treatment or surgery in the further? A fair settlement will take this into account. Your lawyer will work with medical experts to estimate further expenses and ensure they are part of the settlement agreement. Pain and suffering is perhaps the most subjective factor in a personal injury settlement. If you reflect to the physical and emotional disasters caused by the injury, unlike medical bills, pain and suffering is not something you can add up with receipt or bills. However, personal injury lawyers often use a special formula and multipliers to help quantify this damage based on the severity of your injuries. For instance, if you have experienced a long term or permanent pain, your pain and suffering compensation will likely be higher. Emotional disasters such as anxiety, depression, or PTSD is also taken into consideration. Now, you might be wondering, how long does it take to reach a fair settlement? The answer depends on the complexity of your case and the willingness of both parties to negotiate. If liability is clear and there is little to no dispute, a settlement might take only a few months. However, if the case involves multiple parties, complex injuries, or dispute fault, it could take much longer. Patent is key in this case. When it comes to personal injury case, settlement negotiations are critical. Often the insurance company will offer a settlement amount that is lower than what you deserve. A fair settlement involves negotiating that offer to ensure it reflects the true value of your case. It is common for injured parties to feel pressure to settle quickly, especially when they are dealing with mounting medical bills. But rushing into an agreement can cost you in a long term. Your lawyer will work with you and determine if the offer is fair or if you should push for more. Let's talk about how lawyer help in this process. An experienced personal injury lawyer play a vital role in getting you a fair settlement. They understand the intricacies of personal injury law, including the evidence needed to prove liability and the factors that should be considered in the settlement amount. Your lawyer will help you gather medical records, negotiate with insurance companies, and represent your interest in settlement discussion. Most importantly, they ensure that the settlement you receive truly reflect the impact of your injury on your life. So, what is a fair settlement for personal injury in New York? It is not just a number, it is a combination of medical cost, lost wage, pain and suffering, and the long term impact your injury will have on your life. It is about making sure that you are compensated for what you have been through and what you will face moving forward. Remember, while it is possible to negotiate on your own, having a lawyer by your side greatly increase your chance of getting a fair settlement. Don't settle for less than what you deserve. Reach out for a conclusion today and get the compensation you are entitled to. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are in dealing with a personal injury in New York, consider reaching out to a professional to discuss your case. Take control of your future and get the compensation you deserve.